Howdy y'all, it's Gwinnett. Oh boy. Let's try this again. Howdy y'all, it's Russell back with Gwinnett Lawns in beautiful. Oh, it's foggy outside. Look at that sky. Atlanta, Georgia. Today is, excuse me. Today is December the 18th, 2024. So it is really foggy. Well, it's pretty foggy. This morning when I went to the gym, I probably couldn't see 25 yards in front of the truck. So I have 4 yards to do today. I made some changes to the double blade. I'm going to call them the double blade setup, X blade, whatever you want to call them. I guess technically they're really plus blades because they're right angle, and X is more off a couple degrees. Anyway, so the last video I showed you guys, I was running the Ballard Gold hybrid blades on top, and I had the high lift copper regular blade on the bottom. So here's my initial parting thoughts on that combination. It leaves a phenomenal finish. It decimates leaves. It literally turns them into topsoil. I wish I had time yesterday to show up under the deck because I did take them off. I needed to sharpen my hybrid blades, and I'm going to tell you what changes I made in just a minute. But because I've been doing this and the leaves are damp, they're not wet, but they're damp just because of the high moisture, and it rained earlier. It basically, there was nothing. It was just like dirt underneath there. It's phenomenal how good that mulches leaves up. So I'm going to 100% say, because the grass is dormant, as you can see, so it's not growing. I cannot speak to how well they cut grass. I can only tell you that they do leaf mulching phenomenal. Now, I have a couple of problems, which is why I took the blades off. So I was thinking about it, and the one thing that is actually, it's costing me more time than if I just had the single blade on each spindle, is the fact of the enormous amount of violent turbulence that is up under the deck. Now, this translates into enormous vacuum. It sucks leaves out of cracks, out of the grass, and pulverizes them, which is great. So it leaves a beautiful finish, far better. And the blades, single blades, they do their best, but the double blades produce a lot more vacuum. So they leave a great finish, but it's coming at a cost of time. Now, a lot of areas I can do a single pass, and you would think, well, it should make it faster, right? Now, so I'm going to tell you right off the bat, where do I think this combination of blade works best? It works best on larger properties that you can run the chute blocker open, because the amount of front blowout that you get from having the chute blocker closed is, it messes up what you've just cut. Whether you're discharging to the inside or the outside, it doesn't matter. You end up going around chasing leaves, and we don't want to do that because it costs time. But we do want to leave a good product for the customer. I'm trying to leave no leaves on the yard at all. If you are able to run with the chute blocker closed, you will get a tiny bit of furrowing, a row, where it's discharging, just like you would anytime you have a discharge chute blocker closed, and you go back over it and it's gone. If the leaves are light enough on the yard where you can run with, and I'm going to tell you one thing here in a minute, if you can run with the deck with the chute blocker open or cracked a little bit so that the air has a place to go, because that air's got to go somewhere. Oftentimes you can do this in a single pass. The problem that I had is that I tried innumerable different combinations of discharging in, out, running with the chute blocker slightly open, close. And I'm going to tell you one thing: if you're going to run without a chute blocker And I would say probably running with a mulch kit would not be very good. I've never used a mulch kit, but I have to be able to let some of that air out. Like, I just crack it just maybe an inch or two, and it helps a lot with the front blowout. If you're going to run without a chute blocker or with it open, you better make darn sure that that discharge is not pointed at cars, houses, people, anything. So a normal yard like that we have here, I'm going to call these aren't postage stamp yards, but they're, you know, half acre, high density. On a scale of 1 to 10, about those blades being able to launch objects like sticks, pine cones, rocks, it's 5x what it would be with a regular single blade. I mean, it's bad enough, but yeah, you will tear some stuff up. If you launch a rock, it's going, you know, it'll punch right through that siding. So I always have the chute blocker at least angled down, so if it does hit it, and I've hit a bunch of stuff, especially a yard with pine cones, and it just deflected off and went back down. But so what did I do? So yesterday, after I sharpened the blades, I was like, well, I have my other set of slightly used ripper blades that I took off to run the gold hybrid blades. So that's what I did. I still have the gold hybrid blade on the top, and I put the ripper blades on the bottom. The ripper blades are like a medium lift blade, and I'm doing this to try to reduce the amount of vacuum and suction because it's just too much. So I'm gonna run with it today, and I'm gonna run with it tomorrow. So I'll have like 8 yards or so, no, maybe 9 yards that I'll be able to evaluate to see if it's gonna work a little better. And by better, the only thing I'm trying to reduce is the amount of vacuum that the mower's pulling. That's it. I think that running 2 sets of mulching blades on there is going to give me a really, really, I don't know if it could be better finish. I think I did a test drive in my yard, and I think that it's going to be just fine as far as the vacuum, but I'm going to have to see. Like, if I get on a yard like that's got a ton of leaves, I'm trying to get to where I can do basically 1 pass. That will save a lot of time. But I think it's just going to be a combination of the blades. So the gold hybrid blade is a high lift blade, but it's not as violent a high lift. It's not as much of a high lift if the lift portion or the sail was solid, because you know obviously there's you know, that part is cut out, is made into slots to mulch up stuff quicker. So I'm hoping that will be enough to really cut down on the vacuum, because that's my goal. I guess the other way that I could do that is I could run 2 sets of ripper blades, but I don't know how much it's making vacuum. Just, you know, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to play around with it. I'm definitely not giving up on it, and I don't know if I would run these when I'm mulching up or when I'm just doing regular lawn service. I don't know. I had somebody comment on the video, I can't remember his name, but he said he has a 54-inch Trimstar, and he runs, or he's done that for years, and I replied back and asked him what combination he's using. So I don't think he's responded back yet, but yeah, there's a lot of different combinations. I can probably see on regular mowing using 2 medium lift blades. That would probably work. I don't think I would need a mulching blade on there, but I don't know. My number 1 blade that I use for cutting that I could use all year round is the ripper blade. My favorite blade of all time is the Barton Fisher laser razor edge blade, but they do not make a 48-inch blade that will fit the Trimstar, unfortunately. They do make them for the 54 Trimstar, and I use those, and I would leave those blades on the mower. I would get about probably 75 to 100 hours out of them, but I wouldn't have to take them off the entire time because they stayed sharp. And yes, they do work 100%. Saved a lot of time because I didn't have to pull them off and scrape and all that. So the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is I looked at my bolt situation, because when you add another blade, you are effectively shortening the bolt by 1/4 inch. Now when I get the brackets, which I'm supposed to get them, I think Friday, from Ballard to run the blades, I believe the brackets are going to be about 1/4 inch. So that's going to mean that now I need to get a bolt that's 1/2 inch longer than what's on there. And I checked it with my thread checker yesterday, and I'm 99% sure that the bolt that's on the Trimstar is a 5/8 inch, 5/8-11 bolt, and the threads are 1 1/4 inches long. So I will need to get me a bolt that is 5/8-11, that's 1 3/4 inch long, to make up for the blade and the bracket that will return the amount of thread that goes into the spindle back to the proper amount, so it has the correct clamping force. And I said on one of the comments that the blades didn't move, but actually one of them had. It had shifted a little bit. I couldn't tell mowing. There was no vibration or anything. It moved a couple of degrees, so, and it was no longer a plus. It was a, I'm going to call it a lazy plus, but it worked just fine. So if I have any, I'm trying to think of which yards I'll see if I've got some yards that have some leaves. I've got my magnetic tripod here. I'll put it on the mower, but I will definitely, probably, maybe at the end of this video, give you guys a couple of thoughts on if the setup is working better than it did yesterday. So, but if I'm straight up gonna do a yard like that, right, with those leaves and not being around anything, the setup that I had yesterday would be perfect, like a big yard like that. I just don't want to launch. I don't want to damage somebody's car or the house or break a window, because that gets expensive. All right, well, I'm going to, looks like the sun's trying to peek out.